have the distinct pleasure of closing out today's breakout sessions with a panel of our great developers, so I'd like to invite them up to the stage. We've got Paul from Method, Matt from T-Sheets, Susan from Juvote HR, and Daniel from Fathom. Please give them a big round of applause. Afternoon going, everyone.
It's good. Am I on? Do I need to do something?
You're on.
I'm on.
I don't know. I must be scary. That's afraid of me.
I thought we were sitting in order. No? Yeah. So you're sitting in order.
Well done. Well done.
Follow directions.
That's backwards there.
Yeah. So, but it's good for the audience. So, I want to start out. Let you all have a chance to introduce yourselves. Talk a little bit about your company, maybe how long you've been in business. Word or two on how you got started. Something relevant to share with the audience. You know, they've just heard a lot of great advice about how to get started and best practices, and you've been out there doing it. So a couple of words before we launch into the questions.
Sure. So Paul Jackson, Method CRM. So Method's been on the QuickBooks Ecosystem for about 4 years now, since 2010. But my history goes back to like 2002. So I'm an old dog in this group with my prior company. So with Method, we make a made-for-me solution for small businesses. We give each unique business a unique app to run their businesses on.
Great. I hope when I get old, I look like Paul.
Thank you.
You said you're an old dog. I'm like, God, I wish I had that much hair. So I'm Matt Rissell. I'm the CEO of T-Sheets. We are a time tracking system or software as a service that's on the platform. We've only been on it for a year and a half, actually. Just almost 2 years. And we were an app before that, and we've had a great partnership with Intuit. And was there anything else specifically on this question? Nope. Okay.
Susan?
I am Susan Moravka, and the CEO and co-founder of Juvote HR. And small business owners, one of the largest pain problems that they have, cost and just general pain, is managing employees. So Juvote HR has invented and built a app for small business owners to manage employees as a self-service platform. And we do it with no HR people required and no training required. And so now any small business owner or frontline manager can have the benefits of motivating employees, reducing absenteeism, and yet at the same time protect their company from false unemployment claims and lawsuits. So, and we do this with a very carefully crafted user interface that walks the user through the system in a way that's never been done before.
Great. My name's Daniel Walls. I'm from Brisbane, Australia, from Fathom. I'm a director and co-founder there. We do management reporting, so we're targeting accountants and business owners, virtual CFOs, helping them engage more with their clients by providing an advisory tool that differentiates itself through very unique visualizations and just helping them, like I said, engage more with their clients. So that's what we do.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So the first question is about getting started with integrating with QuickBooks. You know, how did you think about it? What prompted you to build the integration? You know, what was that process like for you? Anyone wants to take the first crack at it?
So we were just coming off our failed go-to-market strategy number 4, and true story. And we actually we read who's read the book The Lean Startup. Yeah, so highly recommend that book. If we would have read that from the very beginning, it would have made us and saved us millions of dollars. And that's the absolute truth, because we would have failed faster in our go-to-market strategies. So what we did is we just started testing. So we had, at the time, just a couple thousand customers, and we just barely started testing at what would work and what wouldn't work. And one of the things that we first started to test was a flat file integration with QuickBooks. And we started there, and sure enough, our customers responded. They loved it. And then we did the next step, which at the time they had the web connector and the marketplace. And we were late to the game in that environment. And so we tested that, and sure enough, we had, again, a lot more adoption. And then finally, there was this new thing that was out called the IPP platform, and no one really knew what it was at the time. And so, but we took the next step, and you guys were building this new app center, and so we built against that. And once we did that, we had a really seamless integration with both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. Our customers, the response was extraordinary, and we were also starting to get new customers as a new channel through it, and so that's how we got on it.
Great, thanks, Matt. Anyone else want to share their story of getting started?
So we're probably the new kids on the block, so I haven't got a huge amount to report, but we've been integrated with QuickBooks Online for 2 months. Prior to that, we've been part of other ecosystems. So obviously the size of the US market is an attraction for us, so that's why we're sort of entering the fray over here. And we're just sort of excited to see what happens from here on in. So good to see the success T-Sheets have in a year and a half.
Nice.
So we're really new as well. We are in the App Center 6 months now, and we launched our app with the integration with QuickBooks. So about 2 years ago, we started seeing press releases and some noise from Intuit that they intended to be the marketplace for small business owners and general apps in general. And that was a key turning point for us. That was our trigger in developing our software, because until then, there was really no good way for us to reach small business owners. Our app covers all industries between 2 and 100 employees. And there's no way to find those people cost effectively unless you had a platform like Intuit's. So once that we started seeing that they were serious, we took the plunge. And 6 months ago, we went live. It's been really terrific. And then 4 months ago, we went live in Canada.
Cool. So I guess this is kind of a panel for developers. So I guess there's kind of 2 ways you could probably approach making an app on apps.com. One is if you have an existing app, you want to integrate with it, or if you're creating a new app, like how deep do you want to go? So for us, we didn't have an app first before we made Method. Method was made for QuickBooks. So there's possibly a negative and positive of that, right? So the negative is when you make it just for QuickBooks, it's a little harder to go outside of QuickBooks. And then the positive is you can create an awesome integration if you're so focused on one partner like Intuit. So for us, that's what we did. We went super focused on QuickBooks. You may be thinking, should I do that? It's kind of dangerous for everything at one company. But Intuit just dominates the market. So it's probably a pretty good move just to go super focused and really just take care of QuickBooks customers as best as you possibly can. That's what we did, and it's really worked well for us.
Really, really interesting insights from existing apps that existed on the market and then building integration from ones that are launched with us. So thanks for sharing that. I know one thing that's hard when people are thinking about building a new app and entering a market is thinking about pricing. So how do you price your product now? Is it subscription, per user, per month? Talk about the different strategies you use for pricing and how those might have changed over time as you've tested and learned more about what has worked for your customers.
I'll start. We are a subscription-based model, per employee, per month. And if we had tried to build what we did now just a few years ago, it would have been 10 times as much. And there would have been no way to bring this to market. So by using the partnership with Intuit and having a very easy subscription-based, no credit card required, cancel any time, we're able to reach masses because once they sign in, they never leave. And it works.
So how many folks here have like an existing product right now? Or, okay, an existing product, okay. And how many are just so I understand, how many people are planning on creating a product for like the apps.com? Oh, that's very cool, okay. So you guys will probably do everything right. when we started, we did everything wrong. So our first go-to-market strategy. So we basically, I mean, it was so T-Sheets was so cheap. We were under the premise that time tracking could be viral, and no, we actually really believed it. Anyway, so we actually just basically gave it away. And I can walk you through the pricing plan. Anyway, it was a major decision. We changed our pricing completely. So, and we kept it the same when we went onto the platform. But ours is $20 base fee per month, and it's simple. Man, if I could recommend something, just keep it simple. It's $20 base fee per month, and then $5 per active user. That's it. So 10 employees, how much per month? Ooh, we got some developers out there.
Good job passing the math test. Daniel or Paul, anything to share on pricing?
Yep. So we charge based on the number of companies that an accountant will put onto Fathom. I mean, pricing is one of those things that's really hard when you're starting out to figure out. Obviously, you look at the existing marketplace, see what the competitors are doing, but probably the one thing we took out of it was to don't try price for value, price of the value that's in your product and what you believe is there. Don't look at the maybe the accounting system you're integrating with is going for $5 a month. That doesn't mean you have to. So just if you believe you've got the product that's worth $100 a month, that's what you charge. So I guess sometimes I guess a lot of startups probably price too low when they start. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I think you have to charge what. Don't give it away.
Yeah.
Charge for it. You're doing something of value, so don't do what Matt did originally.
Thanks, Paul. It's really
do what
helpful.
Matt's doing now, which is charging for it appropriately.
And one more. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
still talking.
Oh, sorry, man.
Go.
I thought you were done making fun of me. Go ahead.
That's good. You can go. Now we're going to have a contest to see who's going first. Okay, I'll go. So the other thing too is in terms of pricing, don't approach pricing saying, "Oh, this is what it costs me. These are my monthly costs. These are how many customers I'm going to get." Like no one cares. Your customers don't care. Like if you're a SaaS product, you have to basically price in a way that it makes sense to the market. So look at yourself compared to everyone else in the market. If your price can't make sense to what people are used to paying for, do something different. It's got to make sense. Okay, Matt, your turn.
No, that's exactly right. I would just add one more thing is that there should be a healthy balance when you come to pricing, and you actually should, I think, have some customers that are like, oh my gosh, that is so expensive. Not all of them, right? But have some that complain because and if the majority are okay with it, I mean, then you have a good value. But if all of them are going, this is so cheap, well, you should probably look at that.
Okay. Another thing I'm curious about, we've talked a lot about supporting customers. What are unique ways in which your company supports your customers, in ways that you try to differentiate yourself or that you've found have helped increase stickiness and keep them attached to your product?
I'll kick off. So one thing we do, it's not high tech or anything, but basically we just obviously log all the exceptions or the errors that you see, and hopefully there's not too many of those. But being on the front foot when you do see those, so we're trying to be proactive, and we see a user encounters a problem. Sometimes we'll get on the phone and actually call them before they call us, and the great difficulty with delivering online software is you don't get in front of your customer that much. So being able to, as a founder, talk to the customer directly and turn a negative into a positive we see support as a great opportunity in that respect. And because you've been on the front foot and called them, they actually see it as a real positive as well. And I think we'd all say customer support is one of the key things. So.
We use all the standard. They can call us, write us. We have a Zendesk, help desk, and all that stuff works. But one of the things that went very seriously into our planning was that we didn't want to spend a lot of money on the support side. Since we were building a self-service platform, it had to be truly self-service. So building something as simple as we did is extremely complex behind the scenes. And one of the areas that I've been very surprised in is the feedback that we're getting from some of our early users. And just a couple weeks ago, I got an email from a guy. He said, I got a tech shop. I'm in Southern California. I hate HR. He said, everybody hates HR. He said, anybody can build an app filled with buttons and features. He said, you guys are pure genius the way you design this app. I will use this, and you've solved all my HR problems. So I'm getting not just one, but lots of those kind of responses. But what that says is we did something right in the user interface. So our support is far less than we thought it would be because we spent the time up front designing how the customer walks through the system. And I would encourage you to think about that when you're designing your apps, because you can spend the time and the money now, or you can spend it later. And your customers will be much happier if you spend the time now designing something that's very simple.
Matt or Paul?
So we built T-Sheets in the tech hub of America, Boise, Idaho. Just like Silicon Valley. And one of the ways that we differentiated ourselves, and I think actually, and this is the truth, and like I said, we had really, really humble beginnings. And now we're growing literally exponentially, like 200, we're in 45 countries now, and we're growing at like 200% a year, and it's awesome. And one of the ways that we did it is through the excellence that we give to our customers. And we've had, I think, an impact on really software as a service as a whole, and the level of excellence in the way that they treat their customers. Because most SaaS companies out there leave their customers out to dry and rely completely on their software and wikis and that kind of stuff. And most small business owners and accountants actually don't always like that. Some do. Some do definitely. But so we've leveraged customer service as a key differentiator.
It works, right? So you can see like the reviews that T-Sheets and some of the leaders have. It's
And Method.
And Method. Some of the other leaders.
Love Fest up here on stage.
But I mean, the point being is, I think, to summarize, maybe is that treating support almost as a marketing tool, like that, it's not a cost. It's actually a way to market to your customers, and get more of them. I would say it's a huge factor how many reviews you have on apps.com. You better have 5 stars. Back to the question that you were asking, what do we do with Method differently? We kind of look towards the enterprise, I think, and what do enterprise customers get? We try to give the same kind of customer service that they deserve at small business level too. So we have dedicated human beings who help customers. One point of contact in terms of customization. So we actually help our customers customize a unique solution just for them, which is different. I think normally small businesses aren't used to that. Pays off.
Hearing some really interesting themes, both actually on pricing and support. Keep it simple. Keep your pricing strategy simple, and then keep your support strategy and then your product design simple, because that lowers your support. But then really be dedicated then on that customer service to make a difference for that small business, because you yourself have been in their shoes. Pierce talked a lot about going global, and obviously that means different things depending on what country you're from. So I'm curious, what can you tell me about, have you taken your app global? If you have, what has the experience been like? If you haven't yet, what are you considering about when or why not to do it?
I'll go first, it's fine. So no, we haven't gone global, but we have been approved, yay. And so we actually had a bit of a challenge in going global. The way Method's built is that you can actually create transactions in Method, and you can have them display to customers within Method. And so the tax model global is super complicated. It's like exclusive and inclusive, and the way discounts are calculated. We actually had to build our own global tax engine, which was, let's put it this way, unless you have to do it, stay away from that. Advice to everybody in the room. So I delayed our launch, but I'll go global next week, finally.
All right.
Awesome. Anyone else on going global?
Well, we're in Canada now. We're 6 months old, but we were approached by the Intuit Canada folks who were absolutely terrific to work with. And I think we're early in that marketplace. It's going extremely well. And so, yes, I can say we're global, which is a little funny for us as a 6-month-old company. We have the infrastructure in place to move to other countries, but we just haven't built out the rest of it yet. So more to come.
Dan or Matt?
Yep. We serve customers in a number of countries, about 35, but I wouldn't call us a global company until we start getting a presence in some of those markets on the ground. Some of the challenges, I think, with the different markets is just particularly difference, I guess, between US and Australia. Australia is probably, I think, one of the highest cloud adoption rates in the world. So it's a lot easier to sell there, and then you come over to the US and there's challenges there. So getting the awareness in a larger market, and then just waiting for the US, I guess, to catch up as well on that side of things. So definite challenges, but I think we're sort of excited to be at the start of the journey on your side of the ditch.
Okay.
So yeah, we're global, but it's not like Dan. We don't necessarily have a presence in those countries. And but
does that make support a challenge?
What's that?
Does it make support a challenge?
It does make support a challenge. But what we've done is we've only extended on mountain time hours, only like 2 hours in front and 2 hours behind, and then just a few spotty in between actual hours. So. And it makes it difficult because we have a bunch of customers in Australia, and they're great people, they're amazing people, but tough to support because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so that's something that we're headed. But before we get deliberate and make a huge investment into global, we want to make sure we're prepared. And but it was just by the nature of the product. Because if you have a product that doesn't necessarily need to be converted to use in an international sense, like time tracking. I mean, the time is the same here, right? It's across the different time zones. It makes it complex. I mean, make no mistakes. It's complex, and it makes infrastructure difficult. And then now, it's time to invest into being able to bill in other currencies and other languages on our websites as well.
Yeah, you're like us in a way. It's not around the product so much. The challenge lies. It's more around the infrastructure, the support, and
exactly.
Yep.
I like you, Dan.
I like you too, Matt.
So as we're building on the Love Fest, that leads into my next question. So how do you go about making connections with the entire QuickBooks ecosystem, with accountants, with people at Intuit, whether it's us in the Intuit developer group or others in Intuit, and with other developers, because I know a lot of you guys get very involved with each other. So share some strategies with
involved
romance. Yeah. So share some strategies with people new who aren't all the way into the club yet. What do they need to do?
We serve a lot of vodka, is what we do.
I heard there were some tigers.
There's people that woke up with tigers in their bathrooms this morning.
I'd say be where your partners are. So figure out who your partners should be and what you have in common, and be where they are. So for this group, it's actually fairly easy to identify. QB Connect, the IRP conference for Intuit resellers, Scaling New Heights, Sleater. It was the 5th one that I'm invited to it. I think there's just 4 that I can think of.
So I think when we come to a conference like this, we make a real effort to try and get to know the partners. So it's really important to, and I think Intuit, if you could give us an organisational chart, it would help.
Okay.
But just getting to know, because in one sense they become an extension of your sales team if they know your product and they know what you do. We think that's important. And then also there's a great camaraderie around the ecosystem, the developer ecosystem. So catching up with each other, figuring out what systems you're using for CRM, for time tracking, whatever it is, analytics. It's always, we find that really helpful. So
I have to say, when we joined the App Center, I had no experience working with accountants, and the App Center was all new to me. I reached out to some of the developer evangelists, and David Leary is phenomenal. The team that supports the App Center is outstanding. But what I have to tell you is you need to work it. You can't just put your app out there and expect customers to sign up, and you just sit back and wait for people to, roll in the money. We have reached out on a regular basis to other app companies, and we've started cross-blogging with many of them, and that works. And some are open to it, and some aren't, and some don't even have a blog, but that's a different story. We have gotten calls from other app CEOs wanting to talk about, hey, how funding issues, technology issues. So it is a little bit of a family in the App Center if you work it. But you really have to reach out to people and make those relationships happen. And so I'm going to ask Ronnie, can you do this every month?
I don't know if we can pull off QuickBooks Connect every month.
How about quarterly? Because this has really been a really great way to accelerate those connections.
So, yeah. I was being serious about vodka, but also, like Paul said, be where they're at, and then I would just say, choose wisely, and just, there's, because when you start attaching your name to other products and stuff, just be smart about it. But just like Susan said, and I think we're like cross-blogging.
Really? Did you know that?
Yes. Dang it. So I got
You walked into that one.
Yeah. I was like, we can play off of it. And it was really good. I really recommend our blogs. But anyway, and just choose wisely. And I'm serious, choose wisely. And it's very valuable. And also, just like what she said, leverage Pierce, David Leary, Lori, Ronnie. They're there and Amy Ball. They're there to help you succeed.
Thanks for the love. So a couple more questions. Matt's already gotten a chance to share some mistakes he's made, but want to ask the entire panel, what's one thing you wish you'd known earlier that 2020 hindsight, oh my God, if I'd only known this, done this differently, could have erased months or years of pain? Matt's the only one who makes mistakes.
Oh, a bunch of them.
The mistakes I can share.
Okay. And ones that don't involve tigers.
I think for us, for Method anyway, I think we were way too late to the game on mobile. So we just finally went into beta after all these years here at QB Connect for the new version of Method, which is super mobile centric. We went overboard where everything had to be responsive design to kind of make up for not having a mobile solution. That was probably the biggest mistake we had that I can talk about.
Okay.
The rest of them are just too embarrassing.
Maybe after the vodka we'll get those stories out of you.
Okay. It's been a long day. I might actually give up more than I normally would.
Susan or Daniel?
Okay.
You go for it.
So we're a fairly small team at the moment. We're at 5 people, but growing at the moment. But I think our major mistake was not recognising the growing pains and not realising how hard it was to recruit. So hiring, I think, for small businesses is pretty tough, and finding the right people. And we should have probably stepped on the gas 6 months or 3/4 of a year earlier than we did. So that's been our major challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. I can't come up with a direct wish I had done something different. We have, and part of that is just because we're so new, because that will be there, and I know it will happen.
I'll ask you again in a year.
Yeah, come back to me on that one, because everything we did 6 months ago, we're still doing plus more, and you just make changes as you go quickly. Mm-hmm. So ask me that in a year.
Okay. So kind of as a closing question, we've announced a lot of things today. You've seen a lot of things. What's the one thing you're most excited about working with either Intuit Developer, Intuit as a whole, QuickBooks? Anything surprise and delight you that you've seen so far this week?
I loved having leaders such as Brad Smith, Terry Hicks, Dan, Avi, everyone, all saying out loud in public so we could all record them, we are truly open That's a huge shift. So from an old dog who's watched the years go by, getting to that point, that's amazing, and we're all going to benefit from it. I'm super excited about that.
Okay. Matt, you want to?
Come back.
Okay. Susan?
Okay.
You go first.
Stumping the panel, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So two things really excited me. One was the session with Joe and Doug on the Tuesday, and both of them pushing the QB Online message and the moving to the cloud message. So like I said before, we seem to be a bit further ahead in Australia. So to see that message coming through and to see Intuit's push online is fantastic. And then the second thing was, it's just a small interaction, but one of the people from Intuit came up and said, "Oh, we heard your feedback on integrating with the apps.com platform, and you said that it was hard to get test data, and we've made the sandbox for you, and we've got test data." And I just thought, man, here is an organisation that listens. So I wasn't paid to say that, but it was really, when we came on 6 months ago to start the development process, you worked with us and got the reports we needed, and you've actually listened on the feedback we've given since then. So pretty impressive.
So I've got one. So our app is not an accounting app. We are straight HR. And when we started our development, to us, it was a big risk. Not only starting the app based on feedback we were seeing from Intuit, but we were entering this accounting ecosystem. And we're a general business app. So it was a little scary, were we going to be the sidekick in this whole process? It has become very clear that we made the right choice in entering QuickBooks and the App Center, and that Intuit is very much welcoming, supporting general business apps to build out that place for all small business owners. And so in the end, I think small business owners win because they have a marketplace to come to find not just accounting apps, but apps to solve all of their business problems.
So, I wanted to be completely genuine with it, and I think the thing I'm most excited about, and it wasn't just this week per se, it's actually been a huge shift over the last year, is that the investment that Intuit is making in this platform. I mean, it's still early in its stages, and it's a freaking great opportunity. I mean, it really is a great early opportunity. And watching the investment in this entire, QuickBooks Connect, and it's all about this, connecting people onto the platform. And so if you're considering it and considering building on it, it's a good strategic move, and we're excited about it because, we're just getting started.
Awesome. Thank you. So big round of applause for my panel. So just as we close, we want you to connect with us. If you've noticed for a long time, our Twitter handle has changed to Intuit Dev to match the new developer group name, and we have our apps.com Twitter handle, Intuit Apps. Get started, check out the new developer experience, and publish your apps on apps.com. I know we started this morning with some poetry, which I was a little nebulous about when I saw it on the agenda, but I thought it really rocked. I'm not a poet, but I'm going to give it a shot right now. Wanted to share something with you. It's short. It's a haiku. It's not going to be nearly as long, but today we transform Intuit developer. Please journey with us. Thank you.